I want to kind of document something as part of my like spiritual awakening, like a thing that was a trigger point for me, just to kind of document this for myself and for other people. So, I came out of Christianity, and something that kind of like triggered me to come out of Christianity was I was sitting in church, and my pastor talked about an idea that he said was Gnostic. And I had no, like most people, I didn't have a knowledge of what Gnosis is or Gnosticism. But I just inherently knew from being a Christian that that was something bad. Like I'd been trained that it was bad, but didn't know what it was. And he said a Gnostic idea is that our bodies are bad and we're basically like enslaved and trapped in these mortal bodies of flesh. And then my pastor was like, this is wrong because God, he created everything and he said it was good. But in the back of my mind, having come out of a Pauline, the Apostle Paul type cult, mid-acts dispensationalism, where they, highly revere Paul and his epistles above everything else in the Bible. So I have like a very extensive knowledge on just like Paul, and that cult really hones in on the differences between the Apostle Paul, his writings, and then the rest of the Bible. Whereas like most of Christendom doesn't, they strive for like a unity of the scriptures, and there's this kind of like, they don't look into that, or they just don't really study their Bibles. So the cult that I was in really showed like the differences and how Paul was special. And so all of this is like important in me kind of like waking up from the delusion that you're under with Christianity, and the purpose that it serves in you being a slave to the system. So yeah, that thing in my background is that Paul is separate, he's different. But I had come out of that to try and like immerse myself in like regular unified Christianity and not like, oh, Paul is special and different. So when my pastor at the time said, this is just a non-denominational church, he's like a normal pastor, whatever, probably dispensational, not mid-acts, not hyper-dispensational, but he says, this idea that our bodies are bad, this is a Gnostic idea. But immediately what came to my mind was that is a Pauline idea, because he wrote our vile bodies, our lowly bodies, was in one of Paul's epistles. I can't remember where, but I did remember reading that. And so then I was like, but he's saying that's a Gnostic idea, but this is what Paul wrote. So then immediately after that, I started looking into Gnosticism, and that was what made me totally be like, Paul was a Gnostic. And then I started searching online for, Paul is a Gnostic. Who, like, and there was a little bit on it, like Elaine Peebles wrote about him being a Gnostic. And then I stumbled across David Warner Matheson, and he had a video on Paul is a Gnostic. I picked up a couple of his books. I couldn't read them right away because they were just like out there, and I wasn't like ready for that yet. And all of a sudden now, like a few pieces have fallen into place. I had that dream about my daughter being a sun god. I talked about in another video. And then I started to read it a little bit. It's called Undying Stars. Is this book by David Warner Matheson. He mentions it in his video. That's why I bought the book. I like read it a little bit, couldn't read it all, got like turned off or something. I just wasn't ready for it. I further started coming out of all my Christian stuff that I was in. I thought I was a Gnostic for a while. Then and I'm going through this like Christianity deconstruction. So as I'm deconstructing from Christianity, I'm like spiritually awakening too, and it's a long process, like over the course of over a year now that I've been doing this. So But yeah, looking into Gnosticism was like a huge piece of it for me, and it's just like unraveling now, everything, but it's also like coming back together. Like Christianity has hints of Egyptian roots, and I'm gonna have to go because my son is whining. But yeah, I just want to document that, like, and now here I am full circle reading that book again now, and then also other books that he mentions in that book, and it's like so much of an epiphany is going off in my head right now. Like, I have no fear of the darkness. I feel like I can finally understand like all the conspiracy theories and like who actually is trying to get me. Like, I don't really need to fear those people. It's all part of this grand master plan. I just have so much peace, so much understanding. It's just like, aha, I get it. I see so clearly now. It's so hard to explain it, but I'm gonna have to go because my son is calling me.